The EFL Championship is tighter than ever, and that means that odds are Leeds United fans might find themselves watching other clubs more than they normally do. But there are a few big ones that you definitely need to watch before the end of the season because A, they'll be really entertaining games of football, and B, they will have a huge impact on what happens at the top of the division. These are the must-watch matches for the rest of the season. But first up, I need to make a very quick note. I'm not counting Leeds matches for obvious reasons. The majority of my viewers are Leeds fans, so are going to be watching all of those games anyway. If you're not a Leeds fan, then this list will, for the most part, apply to you anyway if you're a Championship fan. In addition to that, this will likely change as the season goes on, as the shape of the table adjusts, as the form table changes a bit, and I am only looking at the top. The bottom is too crazy. There are far too many teams that can potentially get relegated. So, jumping into it, the first one on the list is Ipswich versus Sheffield Wednesday. On the face of it, you look at this and you say, this isn't a match that is going to matter in the slightest because Ipswich are going to win, because if you've looked at the table, that's what it looks like. However, Sheffield Wednesday are on a great run and could quite easily steal points away from Ipswich, which would be absolutely huge at both ends of the table. Wednesday would be clawing their way out of the relegation zone. Ipswich would potentially fall behind Leicester and Leeds United, but the important thing is this weekend, Leicester City don't have a match because they're still in the FA Cup, and it could pull Ipswich to within a single point of Leicester City. Partially because Leicester are missing that weekend, and that will keep applying the pressure onto them because we know full well that Leicester City don't take pressure very well. We've seen Maresca potentially collapse in some previous matches, and by applying that pressure on the weekend that they're not able to play, Ipswich can cause some major damage to them. However, following that, you've got the international break, but the football doesn't end immediately afterwards because on the 1st of April, beautiful little April Fool's joke for us, Ipswich Town at home to Southampton. This is going to be absolutely colossal, and it's the first of the Saints' awful trio of games. They have to play away at Ipswich, at Leicester, at Leeds. And they will take up a significant part of this video. I promise you that. It's the very same weekend that Leicester play against Norwich City, and Norwich will be looking to continue to play quite well. They've won every single game at home this season so far. No, wait, hold on. They've drawn 1, but they've played 7, won 6. And there could be a lot of change at the top of that table because Leeds United also play against Hull, and every single team involved in all of those matches will be pushing for either promotion or the playoffs. And it's going to be really tight and quite dangerous. And the week after that, Ipswich's run of terrifying games continues as Ipswich play against Norwich City. That's a spooky one for them, isn't it? Because Norwich, on a good run of form, and their biggest rivals, it's going to be a match where the Norwich players are incredibly pumped up, are fighting for every single ball. And even if Ipswich come out of that with 3 points, they will come out of it exhausted. They will come out of it kicked to shit, basically. They're not going to have intact shins, let's be honest here. And the fact that it's a massive derby means that it's Norwich's final chance to really make a dent in Ipswich's push for promotion. I mean, in theory, both of those sides could go up this season. But if Norwich are going to go up, they're going to want it to be at the cost of Ipswich. And if they can force Ipswich into the playoffs, even better. 3 days later, one that won't be big for a lot of people, but it's one that I noted. Leicester City having to travel to the Den will be absolutely terrifying because going to Millwall isn't easy in the first place. Add to that the fact that their new manager is very traditional, championship-y, going to kick the shit out of you sort of manager. And Millwall will be in a little bit of a fight against relegation, I think, because that relegation battle at the bottom is absolutely obscene, and I don't see anyone fully clawing their way out. And Leicester are a little bit like us. They really struggle in those games that get very grindy, that get very kicky. When they don't have, it's a weird way to phrase it. When they have too much possession, they will drop points. Almost every game where they've dropped points this season, they've had 60% plus possession. Millwall are going to let them have the ball, they're going to hit them on the counter, and they are going to make sure that Leicester don't get out of that game without bumps, bruises, and scrapes. And that, I think, is going to be absolutely key to the end of the season. As is the 20th of April, where there are 2 matches that I'm paying especially big amounts of attention to. Leicester City hosting West Brom, that's a Midlands derby, and let's be honest, we know how hard it is to play against Carlos Corberán because he sets up his sides in a way that is industrial and grindy, and it might not get lots of chances, but it gets the results, and that is ultimately what counts for him. And in addition to that, Coventry play against Ipswich, and Coventry are a side that is on a nice run of fairly consistent form, is pushing for the playoffs, and will need results by this point. And I think that both of these games are absolutely massive against playoff level sides, and they're not going to let Leicester and Ipswich off lightly. It's going to be a fairly tricky one for both of those. And on that same weekend, why have I hidden my graphic that is showing when all of the matches are? That's my bad. On that same weekend, Leeds play Middlesbrough away, and Middlesbrough are having a little bit of a stumble at the moment. Middlesbrough also won't have Sam Greenwood, who plays a lot of football for them. I think that is going to be an absolutely huge weekend for the promotion push. Between that and the final day, there's only a couple of games, so you might think it's going to be nice and calm and gentle. Wrong. On the 23rd of April, Leicester City host Southampton. That is, let's have a look, 10 days before the end of the season, and that is going to be absolutely terrifying for both of those teams. Southampton quite desperately will need 3 points, in my opinion, by that point, because they're already a fair way behind Leicester. But Leicester, again, as I mentioned, when the pressure is on, struggle quite a bit. And I think this could be one of those matches where that is especially the case, because there'll be 3 games left of the season. They will quite badly need some results against all of their opponents, because Ipswich and Leeds will not let off the pressure. We know what this season's been like. It's been result after result after result after result, no matter who you support. And I think this is going to be no different. And that will lead us into the final day, where I think there's going to be quite a lot on the line. And all 4 of those sides don't have the easiest of matches. The easiest game for all of those is Ipswich, who have a home tie against Huddersfield. Huddersfield are probably going to be fighting against relegation at this point. They might be, at the end of the day, out of that relegation battle, but we've seen the problems that Huddersfield can cause. And we've seen that potentially that could be a big issue for Ipswich. In addition to that, Leicester City host Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers currently, let's have a look in the table, are 18th. But it's still not an easy match, because they will be in that relegation battle. They won't be as desperately in it as Huddersfield are, but it's not going to be simple for them. And the big match on the final day of the season will be Leeds United hosting Southampton. That's going to be a scary one for everyone involved, and I don't like it. But ultimately, I want to know what you think about all of these matches. Which ones are you going to be tuning into? Are you just going to be paying attention to your club and Leeds because at the end of the day, all we need to do is our job? Or are you going to be watching the entire thing? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe. I will see you later. Okay, so I've recorded this video in the middle of a work shift, so I should probably get back to that. You can probably tell by the way it seems relatively rushed compared to most of my videos. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See you later.